And honestly, well, I mean, Josh's father is, all kidding aside, very much the bridge between, where we are today and where I was and where Josh was in his life, 10 years ago before I met him.
What? Okay. All right. I don't
Josh,
understand that at all.
Josh, if your father wasn't there
Yeah.
at the US Open thing, I may have never talked to you.
Yes, we still would have talked. Rick introduced us, and then you and I stepped aside to talk, and then you met my father.
Yeah, but it made it.
It's revisionist history.
Well, listen, if he wants to romanticize the story,
Yeah, he can romanticize it. That's cool.
By the way, it
You
actually
can Christopher
like,
Columbus
right
this
now,
thing up if you want.
It's legitimately the anniversary right now because the US Open is going on right now.
It is. It is.
have you bought it? Presents? Well, let's cover all this in the podcast.
All right, let's get this.
All right, count me down.
David's
All right.
David's trying to hold us together.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FTS podcast, Friends Talking Shop. We're here for episode, I should prepare better, episode 25.
25.
We're a quarter of a century away along this journey of the FTS podcast. Very exciting. I'm your host, Dave, and I don't have anything really new. I'm kind of getting to the end of summer. There's not a whole lot for me to mention that's interesting in my life at the moment. But I'm sure that's not true.
Do you remember the podcast when do you just know instinctively that we're at X number?
No, that's why
Or
I had to look.
Or do you look? Are you okay?
I
know.
You do?
I'm on
Yeah.
top of it.
I knew it was 24, 25-ish. I just wasn't sure. I checked real quick.
25.
My instincts are getting worse as I get older. Like I don't trust anything anymore. Nothing seems right. Anyway, so I'm your host, Dave. I'm going to quarterback you through the next hour or so, and hopefully everyone will be okay at the end of it. I am really excited to introduce my other hosts who we haven't seen in a bit. I think we've had some travel and vacation. I'll introduce first host Josh. Josh, you've been on vacation. How are you, and how has your vacation been?
Yeah, it was good. We took my daughter back to school, so we made a little nice time of it. But I'll get into that in a second because there was an incident that happened that I want to discuss with you guys. But yeah, everything's good. The only problem is my son, who loves Wendy's. We had to stay away from the Wendy's, that whole E. coli outbreak. You see that with their lettuce?
Oh, I heard. Did he catch it?
No. He didn't catch it. He didn't catch it. But my wife hears that and goes, no Wendy's for a while. But you read about it. It's what was amazing is, have you ever heard anyone that one woman who got seriously ill from it had to be hospitalized in Indiana? She ordered extra lettuce on her burger. Who orders extra lettuce? Have you ever heard of that? Has anyone ever said, "Give me a burger, extra lettuce"?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Now, you think it's weird when I go to Taco Bell, I get my order is regular hard shell taco, no lettuce. I just get meat cheese.
Lettuce.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
But the problem is they're used to shoving so much lettuce in there that when you get it with
Yes.
just meat and cheese, it is basically barely covering the bottom of that taco shell. They're not filling it up where the lettuce is. They know
lettuce is the ice of drinks. When they put ice in your drink, so they don't have to put as much in there. That's what it is.
It's all
a filler.
water,
It's a
right?
cheap filler.
Yeah. We're on to it.
Sort of like this podcast.
Very similar. Yes, Omar, you are the lettuce of this podcast sandwich.
Yes.
You are. Speaking of Dogman, introduce you to our third host, Omar. You are still traveling and out and about. How are you, and where is your location?
I was at a pool party. I'm back in London. I was at a pool party and like 30 people. I sensed some tension the entire wedding, and it culminated in my phone being found at the bottom of the pool.
That was a word salad. Speaking of lettuce, how did it get there, and what are you talking about?
That is, I think someone did it on purpose.
You think someone threw your phone into the pool?
I think someone or nudged it over the ledge. It was there for an hour, so I lost my nothing worked anymore for a few days. The good part about the story is that I had to get a UK number because I'm unable to get my US thing re-engaged until I'm back in the States.
How is that a good thing?
Well, I'll tell you why. because I set up my Uber account again with a new UK based number. And when it asked for my name, when I got picked up about half an hour ago on my way back to do this, the Uber driver goes, "Dogman." I'm like, "That's me." So my name is now Dogman.
You could have
On
changed
your
that without
That's
putting your
true.
phone in the pool. You could have done that without putting your phone in the pool.
I don't think you can change your name on Uber when you after you first already sign up. You can't adjust it.
That's a
Unbelievable.
good question. Yeah. Well, way to find a silver lining
Yeah.
in every
tried.
situation. I would say phone and pool has very few silver linings, but you
Very
found
few.
one. Yeah. So what's he going to do now when you get back to the States? Is it new phone then, or?
No, I'll get my AT&T SIM card, which has my number on it.
Okay.
New SIM card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there was a lot going on. Omar's back in London, which means he was not in London the whole time. He went to a wedding and lost his phone in a pool.
I did not sing at the wedding.
Did you
I
officiate?
I welcomed the bride and the groom for their first dance. So
You always have to play a part. You crowbar yourself in there.
I did not want to in this one because I think that it's presumptuous / ridiculous that anybody assumes anything when they're invited to a wedding. But they asked me to during the wedding to do something, and so maybe that's because I was crying in the corner for the previous hour. Someone let me talk. With dramatic pauses, please.
Meanwhile, someone's in the corner going, "Next chance I get to kick his phone in the pool, I'm going to do it."
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Strong
We tried to get rid
conspiracy.
of him putting his phone in the pool the night before.
Yeah.
By the way,
He still showed up.
Do you guys have? There was a couple of anti-vaxxers that who have not got vaccinated and aren't because of that are unable to travel to the U.S. But I didn't engage them on the why they are chosen that path, so to speak, as much as the general idea about conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
And I asked a group of like 6 people, are there any conspiracy theories that actually have been proven to be true? And no one can really think of one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's something, but
Well, the
there's
fact
different.
that they said the masks didn't work is that's kind of people thought that might have been a lie, and that turned out to be sort of a lie. I get that why they did it, but it's a little bit of like,
Yeah, I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory as much as that is.
like UFOs. Who knows?
Yeah, that's not a conspiracy theory
Yeah, that's
either.
right.
UFOs.
That's right. I wonder what the top 10 conspiracy. We should do a conspiracy theory episode.
Moon landing, JFK assassination. These are the big ones. These are the big boys.
Are they?
The adults of the taco meat, not the lettuce.
What the listeners cannot see is behind Josh is a giant bulletin board with a bunch of strings and tacks connecting to Lee Harvey Oswald.
Actually, in the center is John Oates from Hall & Oates. He's at the heart of all this.
I knew it,
and I'm just about to prove it. By the way, a big happy birthday to Dave, who just celebrated his birthday.
I did. Yes.
How was that
last week? It was pretty tame. I actually went into work. We had a shower planned for someone in the office.
Oh, right.
And so it was on my birthday, and I thought, what if the chances that it's really a surprise birthday party?
0.
And then it was 0. Yep, it was actually a shower. I walked in, and it was nothing for me. So it was fine. I got over it quick.
Just a little heads up, Dave. When someone's trying to lure someone, especially a man, to a surprise birthday party, typically the excuse is, "Hey, there's a wedding shower."
Yeah, you don't think that would work? Yeah,
that usually is not the first go-to.
It would have been an elaborate setup. I gave money toward the shower gift and everything. It would have been quite the misdirect. But even with all knowing that it was a zero, yes, I was like, maybe.
You still thought it.
Yes, I'm the center of my universe. It all revolves around me. All right, so let's kick off this podcast. So for those who are just dropping in on episode 25, what we do on this podcast is the 3 of us each come up with a topic, something that might have happened to us this week or happened over our lifetimes. We want to discuss with each other. We are not prepared. We're not prepared to deliver it, but we're also not prepared to receive it. And we just react and go through the list of us with our different topics. So Hope you enjoy it. Before we kick off, if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss, we'd love for you to email us at friends@fts.media. That's friends@fts.media. No .com or anything else like that.
Or comments or suggestions or criticism.
Yeah, and whatever
Send
you
us
want.
whatever.
We're always thinking about our 3-star reviewers and making it better. So
Yes.
we have a little bit of a twist at the end, which I think Dave knows, but Josh doesn't know.
Okay, this is new to me. I don't know what twist you're talking about.
See, here's my memory loss. We did talk about it. Yeah, I think we have a good idea, but you'll have to remind me of it when we get to that point. But speaking of emails, we did get an email this week.
You've got mail.
We did.
A rare event. And actually, it wasn't even just an email. It was a PDF letter. It was very, very formal. And this has been addressed to the dog man. So this is for you, Omar. If you've not read this, the subject here is Josh's recollection of our dogs growing up. So just to recap here, if you didn't.
So that reveals, by the way, who this person is of our dogs. This is my father for the listening audience.
It is Josh's father. We're getting every family member involved in the podcast. This is a family affair here. But just to bring you back, Josh.
That's called, by the way, a Mary J. Blige.
A Mary J. Blige.
Affair.
All right.
It's
Okay.
a family affair. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay. So Josh recalled growing up that he unfortunately went through a number of dogs. You had 7 or 8 dogs that was in your household.
It was 8 growing up. Yeah. There was 6 growing up, and that my dad will writes about to correct the record.
We'll go through to correct the record, right? But what's key before you hear this letter is that when Josh was describing the fate of these dogs, the ill-timed fate, the unfortunate fates of these dogs, is that he threw his father under the bus. I think, is that fair? I think
not really. I mean, look, he was my dad. You know, we were kids.
Look, I think that you are in no position to opine, Josh, about what you did or said. I think Dave and I are better arbiters of this, if you will. Josh and Dave, Josh, please. Dave,
yes.
What's your opinion of how Josh came across?
I think he threw his father under the bus.
Yeah, I
well,
think
that's
so.
how my dad felt too. But I spoke to my recollection of my childhood, and he is now trying to correct it.
Which is hard. Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard when you're that young. You remember things differently.
Was your father? I forget this from the last episode. My memory sometimes fails me for obvious reasons. Was your father friends with Michael Vick? I forget.
You know, this is now the 3rd Michael Vick reference to a dog-related joke.
It's a hat trick of Michael Vick jokes.
2 of the 3 have failed.
And all it takes is 1.
Yes.
That's right. All right, so let me go through the letter here. I think it's worth reading because there's lots in here. So first of all, he starts out, my son has a very colorful way of telling stories, which let's just pause right there for a second. That could be the most understated statement I have ever heard. So let me try and give you back to the letter.
I view it as a compliment.
Let me try and give you a factual version. I hope this persuades the 20 people picketing in front of our house to go home. So PETA is probably at his door. So Josh, at age 3, we saved Prince, our beautiful husky, who was kept on a chain in a small area all night and all day by his former owners. He was a great loving dog who slept at the foot of our bed. One night we were awakened by a loud howling. Prince stood up, then dropped dead. He was 70 pounds of dead weight. I could not lift him and had to call the city to take him out before the children got up. So any comments on that one?
Yeah, exactly as I recalled it, by the way. So I didn't know he was a rescue. So my dad clarified that, which was great. But I said he had a heart attack on the bed.
It just dropped dead. No, he needed to get the city to come in to take a 70-pound dog out.
Which is shocking to me because my dad's a strong man. I always view him as a strong man. So 70 pounds is not that much, but he was a big dog, so maybe my dad is underestimating the actual weight of that dog.
Bulky and hard to lift. Anyway.
Yeah, who knows?
All right, so now let's move on to Pookie. We rescued Pookie off the street. He was very docile and loving. Pookie was constantly biting and scratching his neck from his hind legs. We took him to the vet. Pookie had a skin condition where he had to be shaved on both sides of his body. A special cream had to be applied when the sores opened up in
lovely
pus, which gave off a horrendous smell. Yes, Josh is
He
right.
puts you
Also-
right there, doesn't he? He puts you right in that room.
Yeah, he really paints a picture.
Yeah.
Josh is right. I also broke out from the bus.
See?
Pokey had to be put down.
Pookie.
Oh, what did I say? Pokey?
Yeah, you said Pokey. Pokey was with Gumby. He was a clay figure.
Okay,
a horse.
sorry. You could see.
Yeah.
So poor Pookie. That sounds like an awful story.
So
We'll
that
just-
lined up. That lined up.
All right, we'll move on. That's a gross story. So now we're in Fawn. Your dog Fawn.
Yeah, the boxer.
As a boxer, was also a rescue animal who had a very expensive digestive problem. She was on a special diet. We
That I
took her
didn't
to
know.
a specialist at the University of Pennsylvania pet school. She was given an upper and lower GI series, which is not cheap. Fawn was Fawn was menstruating and had to be outfitted with a special pad.
True.
Unfortunately, we could not control her dislike of men. We could not have any male guests in the house. She put teeth marks on our new sink, but the plumber was okay.
Plumber.
The plumber. Okay.
Yeah.
Fawn had to go to the farm. So
See,
that's
farm.
that's an awful story.
Yeah, but that was again a rescue and a big dog that was. But he left out the part where Fawn jumped through the window, the second story window, which I told in the podcast.
These are
But yeah, there's other
tragic
things.
stories.
Yeah, those other things were tough, and I forgot some of them.
Good Lord. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're at Bagel the Beagle. I wonder where you came up with that name, Bagel.
Omar, hold on. Omar, I think is talking, but we don't hear anything he's saying.
I was wondering.
For some reason, his
How
mic
about,
just
how
went
about
out.
now?
There you
Yeah.
go. There
Were
you
you
go.
trying to?
Josh, did you ever cry at any moments here?
Of course, I'm
Miss
sure I
these
did.
dogs?
I'm sure I did. I was a
I
little
don't know.
kid.
Dave, have you ever seen Josh elicit any emotion? I haven't.
Yes, I have.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have.
Thank you.
I think I've. Yes, but
Yeah, Dave and I
I-
watched The Notebook together.
Well, I've never seen that movie. I need to watch.
No,
it.
neither
I
have
did. That's not the worst one that I've cried at. Do you see the Circle and Stars, or what's the one, the cancer, the kids that have cancer? Have you
Oh,
seen that one?
the
No,
Truth in
I
the
never saw
Stars,
that.
whatever.
Something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was like,
actually.
oh,
I cried in
God.
that one too. I did.
yeah. All right, so let's go. Let's hear about Bagel.
Listen, when you're 9, you tend to forget about your dog menstruating. That's not really something that sticks in your head. But go ahead. That's all accurate.
Well, you either forget or you never forget. It's one of the extremes, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
So Bagel was purchased from a dog factory. I didn't know they had dog
Bagel.
factories. It's a robot dog.
Yeah, this is a robot dog.
All right, this was a dumb animal we could not train. We put an ad in the paper and sold him to a young couple who immediately changed his name. Yeah, so
Okay.
there you go.
So there you go. So that was one I thought was farm.
Who's
not
naming
farm.
these dogs?
Well, we rescued them, so they typically had names prior.
Bagel?
And some of them, I'm sure we named Bagel. Bagel, Beagle, Bagel the Beagle.
Prince,
That's cute.
Pookie, Fawn, Bagel.
Yeah.
Now we got
right.
Mandy. Mandy is
Yes,
we had a
Mandy.
dog named Mandy too. This is
Wait, did Mandy ever come and bake you a turkey?
Yeah.
Oh,
what?
Mandy, you came
Yeah,
and you bought me a turkey. Remember?
No, and you used the Manilow reference last time when I told the story again. You have early onset dementia, I think, Omar. I think I want you to see a doctor friend of mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna fall for it though. That's not an actual lyric, right?
It is not.
That's a joke.
It
of
is
the lyric?
not.
Okay, thank you.
It's from
Yes.
The Simpsons. Sorry.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
it is from The Simpsons.
That's like Spider Pig. Okay, Mandy was your first Cocker Spaniel that was given
Yes.
to you, given to your family. She was a
Did
beautiful,
not know
loving
that.
dog. She got out of the house, ran into the street, and was run over. We
Yeah.
buried her up the hill behind our house in an unmarked
True.
grave. The Star of
True.
David. It's much harder to make than a cross. I didn't thought about that. That's is that a requirement? I guess you.
No,
No.
we did not put a headstone for the dog.
Okay.
He's
Then-
making a joke there.
Finally, Max is your second Cocker Spaniel.
Yes.
Our family loved Manny so much we went out and bought Max. At first, Max was
Yes.
a good dog. Then the demons took over. Max
Told you. Told you.
Max bit anyone, no matter the sex or age. He is an equal opportunity terror. When he bit me trying to get space in our bed, that was it. Farm.
David, is there
Farm,
a chance
see?
that maybe the Kaplans live next door to the pet cemetery?
We created the pet cemetery in our backyard. What are you talking about?
I guess so.
The
Man,
people who live there now are getting haunted.
I didn't know the pet cemetery was based on a true story. That's
It's my childhood.
well. Thank you,
But now
Mr.
look, You can
Kaplan.
see, yeah. So he clears the record up. Not every
Yeah.
dog was to the farm. We rescued more than I thought, but there were, there's a couple farm stories in there. So I wasn't too far off.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
learned two things from this letters. One is that maybe some of your stories are legit. I thought maybe you
Maybe.
embellished, and here this is kind of proof
No.
that
I
this happened.
think that Josh has real problems. Like I was at yesterday I was at having breakfast by myself in after this wedding, and there was a daughter and a mom, and the daughter was yelling at her mom, the beautiful location in Italy on the about changing flights or whatever, yelling at her like, "Mom, you're making my life so complicated," on and on and on. Like, and so as I was leaving, I walked over to them and I said, you
Interjected
know,
yourself into the situation.
I always interject myself. It's always more interesting. But I go, are you guys mother and daughter? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it's so cute how you can be here with your mother. And, but my mom couldn't make it down the stairs. I tried to add some intimacy to it. And she goes, oh, did you overhear me yelling at my mom? That's how we talk to each other. And I go, well, some point you won't be able to yell at her anymore. So, but really
Jeez.
cute. Yeah. And then, I made an impact and then they asked me to leave. But
Yeah.
Yeah. What does it have to do
My-
with me?
I'm a little tongue in cheek with the story. My point is, I think the children, the way they talk to their parents and treat their parents is really often off base. Your father did the best job he could.
Thank you. I never said he
he was a-
didn't.
He was a good man, Josh. He's a
Never.
good man.
He still is. He's still
He's a
alive.
protector of dogs.
Yeah, look, but the whole point was, I didn't even embellish like it. He went into the bleeding pus of the skin of Pookie. I never mentioned that.
Yeah, he gave up on no
See?
detail. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was the
There you
second thing I
go.
learned is your dad seems like a funny man. I can see where Josh
He is a funny
gets
guy.
his,
He's a very funny guy.
Yeah. So
Dave, are you similar to your father, Dave?
I am.
I'm sorry, is your father drone a little bit and a little bit monotonous?
Oh my God.
Why do you compliment Josh and I get the
I
insult?
don't know. I didn't have a choice. You already locked me in with Josh. Josh is already locked in.
I am
Just-
very much
Just
like
be
my
just
father.
be thankful, Dave. You didn't reference your dad to Michael Vick.
Yeah, that's that's true. I am like my dad. We were raised in like very different time periods. That's where our differences
Oh
come
no, really?
Well, not only that was a different time period.
What?
I
Josh, what was that?
Most generations are.
Yeah, I don't
let me
understand
explain.
what that
Well,
means.
He grew up on a farm. It was like they were he grew up with an outhouse, like he
Oh,
didn't
wow.
have indoor plumbing.
Jeez.
And so it was so it's like our personalities I think are similar, but we can't be too similar because his life experiences could not be more different than mine in terms of what he kind of went through growing up versus me. So I don't think he probably
Wait a
is
second. Again, with all due respect, this is a bunch of bull crap. Everybody's parents, generally speaking, certainly mine did, the way they grew up is incredibly different. Arguably, I would say much different than your father and yourself, David.
Well, my point
What do
would be is that is my dad a jokester? And I think
Okay.
he could be, and I think he has capacity to, but I think like growing up, he had like very serious issues. Like I don't think he was able to joke around and goof
Too many
off as much
hardships.
as like so where now as I'm
I hear
50
you.
years old, like I have refined my jokes.
I
telling and
think
goofing off.
refined is still up to interpretation. I think that we should have a father's interview session with each of your dads.
We potentially could.
And we could be a little prepared, maybe. I don't know. It'd be really maybe just 3 questions. I will say when my father was on, my entire attitude the entire time was for him just not to get annoyed to get up and leave.
He was great.
I know, but I was super nervous as I was sitting next to him because I was waiting for it to perhaps happen. He would typically go, "I don't want this shit. I didn't want to be here."
That would have been great.
Yeah.
That would have been great for
No, it
ratings.
wasn't.
Had he
Like,
stormed off. We didn't
don't
get any
blame
of
you.
that. We got no.
That's
Couldn't get any raw
Yeah.
emotion from that man.
yeah. I mean, then who was the first person that did the whole parent? That was Howard Stern. Then David Letterman picked it up, and then other people have been doing it obviously since. But
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Josh, would you want to have your father on the show?
Sure, why not? Why
Would your
not?
fa-
If it would have to be something that that I don't
Well,
think this is the
well-
time to workshop it, but it's
I'm saying.
potential.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
potential.
Well, we have
Yeah.
very much gotten our family involved.
I have
yeah,
I-
families involved.
We have dog question day for Josh's dad.
My daughter's dying to be on the show.
We should read your dad's scenarios. Like, here is a dog, and then read what their background
what would
is.
you do?
Would you buy this
Farm?
dog?
Is the dog going to the farm? Or
Farm,
Farm or home?
farm or home? Yeah. So
A new segment.
there you go.
All right, are you guys ready to jump into
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Again, please send us your emails, and we will read it and scrutinize it in detail.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to go first this time because I didn't get an email this week, but I had a listener come up to me and suggest a topic, which I thought was an interesting one. So it's kind of like an email, but it's a verbal email. It's a conversation. So he asked me the question. It came up in his life, and he wanted us to discuss it. Someone asked him, does he think that he's smarter than 50% of the United States, people in the United States? And
is this a quote unquote friend? Are you talking about yourself?
no, this is a real person.
This is a real person?
Now, given his occupation, he has to be friends with me. He's my pastor.
Ah, okay.
So he's got to be nice to me. So I think he's.
So he asked you this? He just out of the blue said,
well,
"Am I smarter than 50% of the
He
population?"
started listening to the podcast. Apparently,
Really?
He enjoys it. Yep.
He likes it. Wow.
So now I've got another someone looking out for me in case I go down a very dark path with these conversations.
Wait a second. I have a question. So, is there in any way an inference here, Josh, that we have to not say anything that's
No.
offensive to any
No, he
institution of
likes
God?
he likes what he heard so far, so there's no
Yeah.
reason to change.
It's
Not that I would be offensive to any.
And the good news
Yes.
for us, Omar, is that we're a different religion, so he doesn't have a say into our afterlife.
Yeah,
Which
you're
is
already.
nice. Which is nice.
You're-
We're free and clear.
Your
Don't they all-
destiny's already
don't they all
locked in.
talk to
Don't
each
worry.
other? Don't they all talk to each other and like it's all one God, right? I mean, at least for those religions. Anyway, so David,
Moving-
continue. This is
Moving
actually
on.
really
Moving
interesting.
on. Yeah.
Keep going. So
Anyway,
what did you say to him?
So, well,
This
he
is
was
great.
saying, I
Where was it? Was this in confession? Like, where were you? What
yeah,
were
we
you
don't
doing?
have.
He doesn't do confession.
How do you,
That's
oh,
right.
they don't? Okay.
This was in just general conversation, and we, as I talked, there was a group of people that sort of overheard it, and everybody that was in that vicinity, said either they were very humble and said, I don't really want to answer it, but when you really pushed them on it, they were like, yeah, I think I'm smarter than half of America. And then, so nobody said that they weren't, right? So everyone said they were smarter than half America. Now, I think it was a pretty smart room, so it could have been the case. But they asked me, and I was like, "Well, no question,
No question.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
my debate is whether what single-digit decile, it's a percentile am I in? Like that's what my brain, like 50%.
That's right.
So, but they wanted me to ask you guys, like, so I have some follow-on questions, but let me first ask you: do you think that you're smarter than half of America? Josh,
Easily, modesty aside, easily. That's crazy.
Okay, Omar.
I think in most ways, yeah.
Look, have you
It's like
seen?
I've gotten gas in my car before several times and left the nozzle in the tank.
Yeah, that's
like,
pretty stupid.
Right.
But
I've
that's
done stuff like that. Josh, continue. Sorry.
Well, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. Wait, so you've done, but we've all done bonehead things like that, Omar. But that's that's not a sign of intelligence, so to speak. That's just forgetfulness.
Yeah, perhaps.
Well, that's
but look,
the
you can
question
well you
is
can
what
see
defines
see
intelligence here.
you can see like on late night programs when they do that man on the street nonsense and people can't even name. Look, Dave, you watch Big Brother, right?
Yeah.
So Big Brother's a reality TV show. They just had an episode the other day where one of the two people were talking and they couldn't figure out where London was. And they thought London was in France, and the other one thought London was Paris, was the same thing as Paris. So if that's the basic American intellect, 50% is an easy hurdle.
Well, and actually, the easiest way to determine who is above or below the threshold we're referring to, it's the Jay Leno, Dave Letterman test, right?
That's what I just said, right? The man on the street. Yeah.
Anyone listened to Jay Leno is in the bottom half.
Yeah, people who
Right.
like Jay
You
Leno.
went a different way than I thought you were.
Yeah, I knew what you were
Yes.
thinking. You think
Yeah.
Jay Leno's funny, you're in the bottom half. If you think Letterman's funny.
He's the Jay Leno. It's like Kevin Hart's humor. Same thing.
Kevin Hart's funny. Jay Leno is not. Jay Leno is
Lowest-
political.
Lowest denominator.
Well,
Oh.
so here I was thinking of so one thing when I've asked people this question, what immediately happens is you think of the dumb people, right? So you immediately
Yes.
think of the bottom 10% that don't know where
Yes.
London is, right? So that's not fair because we're not asking are you smarter than the bottom 10%.
David,
Go ahead.
do you ever bring up words in conversations with people and say, "Do you know what this word means?" Like, do you ever do that? I do that sometimes, and I feel bad. As I feel like I'm making someone feel dumb.
Yeah,
You
it probably
you
does.
ask them. You ask
Yeah,
them. Do you know what this word means? I
I'll
would
say
never
a
do
word
that.
like ineffable in conversation,
Mhm.
and they're not. And I'm like, actually, do you know what that means? And they're like,
That is
no.
insulting, actually.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, but to actually have a, it's how do you get to the bottom? How do you find that bottom 50? Is that what the question is? Like, how do we get to
Well,
them?
I want you to think about it because what I would like to do is if you could somehow line up all of America and find the media, the person right in the middle. And by the way, I know the difference between average and median, so that helps my score. But you get the median person who, and then talk to that person, and would you go like, yeah, I'm smarter than this person? Or would you like, they're not that dumb, like they're actually pretty smart. It's actually someone I know. It's so like that 50th percentile person. Are they like how dumb are they? Because you're right. It's easy to think of the people who are at the bottom.
I think they're dumber than you think.
Do you think?
And it's
so?
good. Yeah, and it's look. I mean, and I don't know. This is going to sound terrible, but I don't think Americans are the smartest in the world. I mean, if you go to and Omar, you're on mute by the way. If you go to Europe, right? Everyone there knows about the history of their own country as well as the history of the U.S. You ask an average person the history of Europe, let alone the history of our own country, they have no clue. No clue. They don't know who the world leaders are of any of those countries or anything. I'm telling you, I think that man on the street, that Jimmy Kimmel man on the street thing where they ask basic questions like where's Canada on a map, I think that is the 50%.
Well,
I don't think that's bottom 10.
But
unfortunately, maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Here's another way of looking at it. If there was a zombie apocalypse, like right now, I bet you a lot of the bottom 50% would survive a lot longer than the top 50%, because the top 50% in general are very specialized in their vocations, and I suspect a higher percentage of the bottom 50% actually know how to like cut wood, catch a fish, skin a tadpole, whatever.
Skin a tadpole,
whatever. You know what I mean? Skin a cow or a snake or a chicken.
A cow.
Yeah,
whatever
it would be far better to feed the cow and get the milk.
You're talking just survivalism.
I'm talking about different forms of intelligence.
Yeah, there are different forms of intelligence, no question. But I don't think that was what Dave is
like
talking
Family
about.
Feud. You mean like is Family Feud? I think Family Feud might be the best marker of intelligence.
No,
Jeopardy. Jeopardy is the marker.
Jeopardy's too elitist. Family
it's
Feud
not elitist.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Completely.
All right, I'll meet you in the middle. Wheel of Fortune. That's in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Wheel of Fortune. You have to.
I like Family Feud because it also incorporates strategy amongst multiple people.
Not really.
Not really. It's a team.
There's no strategy.
Of course, if they
answer individually. Only when they steal do they get together. Everyone plays. No one passes. Passing is nonsense. Anyone who passes is a moron. That's bottom 50%. The people passing on Family Feud. And no one does.
What do you think is the best metric of the three that we mentioned?
Well, I think there is a thing called IQ, which you could objectively measure.
IQ is just one measure of intelligence.
But that's right. So you bring up a good point.
I'll give you that.
Is what is intelligence? Because I can't do anything handy. But I probably,
for example, somebody would be intelligent would turn off this podcast right now. That'd be one. That'd be one way to tell.
Very true. Very true. But then I think too, like if I met someone and they seemed intelligent to me, does that mean they could have a high EQ and not just an IQ? So are we talking when you're asking the question, is it truly intelligence? Can you multiply? What's that?
I wonder. I'm not sure if I've ever asked you two jokers this question. Do either one of you know what the term inverse charisma means?
Yeah, I think you mentioned this before.
Piece it together. Inverse charisma, it means you turn people off.
No,
that's what it seems like.
That's what I got a ton of. No, inverse charisma means the ability to make somebody else feel charismatic, because you're making them feel. In other words, you're engaging them in such a way where they feel like they're super interesting. That's a very, very high level superpower version of EQ.
So inverse intelligence inverse intelligence
I
would
don't
be a
have it.
honorable thing, where
Yeah,
another way
that's
of calling
okay.
inverse intelligence is
Can we?
dumb.
Yeah. Look. We're making this so much more complicated than it is. If you don't know that London is, if you think London's in France, I don't care that you can skin a tadpole.
That's a
It's
great
that
quote.
simple. It's
That's a
that
quote
simple.
that on your funeral, I'm going to read that quote.
Thank you.
Great Josh once said to me, I don't care.
It
You can
doesn't
skin a tadpole.
matter.
You need to fly in Canada.
Although I will say this,
Ugh.
that'll contradict myself. I have a friend of mine, okay, and he is, by the way, what he does for a living, he is fantastic at it. He's amazing. He's gotten all sorts of accolades for it, and he's a surgeon, right? And he just does these high level surgeries. But the guy doesn't know at what temperature water boils. I mean, it's like it's so bizarre that he has no common sense whatsoever and no knowledge of basic everyday information, yet can handle this task and has gone to the nth level of education
Yeah.
with medical school and what have you.
But
So
you
it's
put him in the
weird.
top 50 then, right?
Yeah, I would, only because of how I view the bottom 50.
Why do you have to understand or remember this? The number when water boils.
I'm using it
Who
as
cares?
I'm using it as an example of things that he just doesn't have any common
Because-
knowledge. I
because
don't
they're
understand
not-
how that's
because they're-
possible.
I'm the same exact way. There's I don't know whether a lime is green or a lemon is yellow. I don't
Yes, you
remember.
do.
No, I don't. I don't remember. I don't
What
know.
color is a lemon?
Green?
Okay, you know what?
It's-
Your antics. I'm headed up to here with your antics.
I promise you, I'm not making that up. I just don't care to remember. Just like I just don't, because there's
That's a
fine.
I'm
confusing
using it as an.
question.
Look,
That's an unfair question because key lime pie, good key lime pie is yellow. So I can see where that is an
Key lime
unfair
pie.
question.
and that's a very smart thing to say, Dave.
Yes, Dave. I'm
Yeah,
proving my
and-
50%.
But even like lime green is a thing, right?
Yes, well, because
Yes,
limes are green,
Yes, because limes are green.
but key
Uh,
lime is yellow.
I'm only using it as an example of common. I'm not saying everyone should know these 10 stats or these 10 facts, but there's something called common knowledge,
Wait,
and you have to have common knowledge.
So you would take like someone who knew the had common knowledge over your friend who's like a brain surgeon in terms of an intelligence, like sort of like.
I
if you had
don't know. It's
you
very
had-
tricky. It's very tricky. I have
Wow.
another friend who's incredibly book smart, but is just
If
just
you had a similar,
illiterate on.
I'm convinced. What's that game called? Sim City, when you create your own town and will it?
Yeah.
Josh's town would be a bunch of inbreds. It would. It would
No,
be.
it wouldn't.
It would be a disaster.
What are you
Yeah,
talking about?
Because you have to put people who have different forms of intelligence.
I'm not saying I'm not I'm not
Josh wants to go
chastising. Dave asked the
into
question of
Jeopardy. It's
where do you
insane.
rank? Where do you rank? And it depends on how
None
you
of them
define.
know how to hoe a field or
I'm
till
not.
land.
You don't
cut
have
wood,
to. You
but they
don't
can
have
tell
to
you-
run the literature category in Jeopardy to be considered smart. I'm just saying that you have to know certain things. You can't think London is in France and be smart. I'm sorry. That's so ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
That's
some
crazy.
basic knowledge. In fact, I think in the Big
basic
Brother,
knowledge
he said,
as
"Look,
as you guys define it.
yeah,
Omar, there's basic knowledge and then there's basic knowledge. If you can't point out Canada on a map, I mean, I just don't that
If you ask
the school
me,
system has failed you.
If you show me a map of the United States, I can maybe point out like 10 of the states. I don't know what any of them are. No
Get
idea.
out of here.
My hand to God. I don't.
all right." So,
Omar, what's
well,
the capital of New York? What's the capital of New York?
Oh, come on. That's easy.
What is it?
No, it's not New York actually. It's Albany. Albany.
Thank you. Okay. See, that's common
So
knowledge.
that one I know, but like if you ask me like the other whatever, I get like maybe 30% of them. So I don't know.
Okay,
It doesn't
but-
matter. to me.
okay, but you see what I'm going with this. I'm
fast
not.
and loose with his numbers here. You know, 10 states and 30% of the
Yes.
capitals. That none of that makes
That
sense.
doesn't add up. That doesn't add up.
I think he's all full of nonsense. Yeah, Omar's intelligence is tricky because he does not. He intentionally is subverting our expectations. Half
He's
the time,
top
so.
50%. Don't let him fool you.
I'm not saying that he's not, but I just think it's interesting. I don't know if it's like trivia would be one way, but that's right. Trivia really is that intelligence. I would kind of think of intelligence as being able to like be able to work things out like in your mind. Like I would think
Yes. Hold a conversation.
Yeah, you take
Wait,
new
hold on a
information to be able to
second.
Take
process
new
it.
information. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Can we make this about me for a second?
Of course.
Because you just said I intentionally subvert my intelligence. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, never mind.
I'll give you an
Take
example.
that back. Withdraw that comment.
Okay, we can put a pin in that. That's fine.
Yeah, put a pin in that one.
No, you just did it right now with the lime lemon. You know what a lime lemon
No,
difference
I
is.
do not.
Get the
You
hell
do
outta
that
here.
for a fact.
I do not.
and-
I do
Yeah.
not. I do not. I
Well,
don't.
whatever.
I think half the time you're joking.
If
But-
I said when I'm ordering or a color, if I consciously think of lime green, then I'll get there. But often I don't care to think about that extra step, and I just say whatever color I think it is or whatever. Yeah, my brain it hasn't like absorbed in. Like I don't know anything about wine. I drink a lot of wine.
You don't
I've
have to
tried-
know anything about wine. That's
tried.
not
My point is,
intelligence. That's a
my point is-
specialized.
Yeah, I guess that
I've
falls
tried to
under
learn it.
trivia, right? If someone
Yeah,
really
that's a
dumb could know a lot
I
about,
can't remember. I learned through osmosis, not
well,
through
not
Listen,
remembering, is a
There's basic things. There's just basic things, and you can go across a whole spectrum of topics. If you just don't know these basic, if you don't know who the first president was, if you don't know how many states are in our country, how many people do you hear go 52 when that comes up? That's nonstop.
I don't know
If you think the Earth is flat,
I don't know.
I mean,
Right.
there's, it's like that Jeff Fox where you're a redneck if.
How about top 25%? Think you're in the top 25%?
Yes.
Omar?
I think I'm in the bottom 50% of our social circles and work circles. Are
That's
whatever
true.
else.
I'll go along with that.
I might even say bottom 25%. Right?
I was being kind. That's correct
Yeah.
as well.
I can't. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say, but top 25. It is. It's
You
a-
are, Dave. You're top 25%. Please.
Well,
You're modest. You
yeah.
are.
it is kind of an arrogant thing to say, but it is because it's impossible to say, but it's.
If you were,
We all
if you
think
were,
we're above average.
let me ask you this, okay? So this is an interesting question. This happened to me when my phone was underwater for an hour in a pool, so I didn't have a cell phone that was working except for Wi-Fi, and I had to go pick somebody up in this random town in Puglia, beautiful town, and with no navigation, I had to sort of like memorize or remember like where I was even going, and I'm like, can I do this? I'm like, I have the brain to be able to do this. I can figure this out, and I got lost for like 3
Yeah,
hours.
but that's directions. I'm not good with directions either. I'm very bad with directions.
It wasn't directions. It was like, those scenes in the desert where like the guys or the group like gets through by like navigating it based on certain landmarks or like where the sun.
Yeah, but that's you know
Like,
what I
I
mean. I
can't
don't
do
mean
that.
directions.
Yeah.
You just
Hey,
a
listen. No, Omar makes a good point. Maybe he's not smart.
well,
Yeah.
we've established that. I'm just saying that.
You're right. You need your phone. We all have gotten dumber by our phones, right? Because we rely on them.
True. True.
I think you give yourself some credit. You're falling.
The
in the same trap
difference. The
as
difference
everybody else.
between us is I actually embrace ignorance, and I embrace it.
You shouldn't.
Yes, I do.
Why would you
Because-
embrace ignorance?
because-
that
because-
is the most ignorant thing to say.
Because I'm okay being
That's a
vulnerable and
circular
being wrong
thinking.
and telling people I don't know.
No.
And
That's
maybe I'll
very
learn.
different than embracing ignorance. That's very, very different. To embrace ignorance is to say that it should be applauded that you don't want to know something or don't know something.
That is a good point. I just read a book that said you should enjoy being wrong because now that you've been
Yes,
placed
that's
between-
very
you're
different.
no
Yeah, I
longer wrong.
phrased it. I didn't phrase it properly.
Yeah.
My-
So to
my
be
brain
wrong
is-
is a lesson learned. I'm no longer wrong. I used to be wrong. But yeah, like a flat earther is embracing ignorance, right? They know they're wrong in somewhere in their brain, but they're going with it. I
Or
would say
worse, they
that's-
think they're right.
yeah. I don't know.
I don't know what's worse.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think you embrace ignorance. I do think that's probably
No,
not.
that's
I know what
that's
you're
the
saying.
wrong
You're
phrase.
willing to be wrong, and
You're willing to
you're
admit you
not
don't know
too proud
something,
to
and that's
admit-
fine.
Yeah, that's right.
And
that's
that's
a
the
good-
way it should be.
I think I'm getting there as I get older too. So anyway, I want to talk about that topic. I do. I think everyone's smarter than 50% of America.
David, that was actually
Everybody.
that was one of your top 50% topics, actually, for sure. I was
Oh,
very happy
great.
with that.
Well, I will tell my friend that he's got to keep feeding me ideas.
I think 80% of Americans are in the top 50% of Americans. Intelligence.
I think
Yeah.
that's very generous of you, Josh.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Josh, you want to go next on your topic?
Yeah, I got a quick scenario I want to throw by you guys because I told this story to my family, and they had differing views on what they thought was happening. And I'd love to know what you thought, what you think actually took place here, what was trying to take place here. Well, you'll get the idea when I tell you the story real quick. But it's so as I said, we were dropping my daughter off at school, and we were staying at a nearby hotel. And in the afternoon, we had dropped her off at her dorm, and we said, my wife and I said, we're going to go back to the hotel to, freshen up and shower before dinner. And we go back to the hotel, and I'm in the elevator bank. We push the button for the elevator. The elevator comes down, the doors open, and there's a woman in there. Okay. Maybe in her mid 40s. Let's call her in her mid 40s. And I said, oh, I was about to go in the elevator. I realized, someone's in there, and I stepped aside like, oh, you can come out. And she did not come out. She goes, no, it's okay. I go, oh, all right. That's kind of weird. And so my wife and I got on the elevator, right? We push our floor. We push 11. It's the top floor of this elevator is 11. She pushes nothing. The elevator doors close. She starts talking to us. Hey, what did you guys do today? Said, oh, we were just, walking around in the city. And she says, yeah, she looks at our shoes. She goes, yeah, you guys got good walking shoes. She goes to my wife, looks like you got Asics and you got Skechers. And we went, yeah. And she says,
who
yeah,
wears Asics? Who wears Skechers?
My wife was wearing Asics and I was wearing Skechers. This has nothing to do with the story.
No, I knew you can't get past that.
Yeah, you can't get past that. So
Wait a minute. Where did you buy them?
You have a thirst for knowledge, Omar. You see, you are smart. You want to know. So then she says, yeah, those Asics, if you have a narrow foot, they're good for a narrow foot. I have a narrow foot. Okay. And it's just so weird. And we get up to 11, we're thinking, what's going on here? And we're right at 11. The door's about to open. She goes, so what are you guys doing now? And I said, oh, we're going to get ready for dinner. And she goes, okay. And then we get out of the elevator, and she stayed in. She stayed in the elevator. She rode from the lobby to the top floor, talked to us, stayed in the elevator. So I'm like, that was strange. Very weird. Now, later that night, after dinner, we come back to the hotel. My wife and I come into the hotel. We go to the elevator bank. I push the button. Who comes around the corner but this woman? And she's with the gentleman this time. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe she's with this dude. I knew it right away. Oh, my God, that's the weird woman from the elevator earlier. We get in the elevator. She pushes 4. The guy pushes 7. And we push 11. The guy is drinking water, a bottle of water. She starts talking to him. Hey, staying hydrated? He's like, yeah. She says, well, what do you put in there? He said, really nothing. She goes, you don't put salt in there? Stay hydrated? First of all, that's bizarre. Salt? I don't know who's doing that. And he says, no, I don't put salt in my water. And she says a couple other weird things about his water or whatever. It was bizarre. 4 comes. Doors open. She doesn't move. She stays in the elevator. Doors shut. Goes to 7. Doors open. The guy gets out. She stays. Doors shut. Then she says something to us. Now I'm trying not to make eye contact with her. I am literally looking into the corner. And then she talks to us and goes, so how was your night? And I was like, oh yeah, it was nice. She goes, yeah, it was a really nice night. And it goes to 11. The door opens, and we're like, okay, see you later. And we get out and we go back to our room. Now, I have a theory on what I think was happening here. And my family has 2 different theories, but I've told you now the story. What the hell was going on? And what do you think? You heard the story.
So the first thing that came to my mind is, how everything's about the multiverse, and a lot of movies are getting the multiverse.
This is a new one.
Imagine this woman was your wife in a different timeline. She jumped into our universe, and she just wanted to see you. She didn't want to impose or, freak your wife out. She just wanted to interact with you a little bit. And she did up and down the elevator, but that was it. She She just wanted that little bit of brief interaction. That's
That's a
my
theory I've yet to
opinion.
hear. That's a new theory
She's from a different universe. That's my
from a
thought.
different universe. Interesting. Omar, what do you think's going on here with this woman?
I mean, I think she's probably on the spectrum, safe to say.
Interesting.
Right.
That was one of the three things that someone said.
And because, there's one, because clearly elevator conversations are a big taboo with me. I've only had one.
Yeah.
I mean, well, actually, I make jokes in elevators, and a big part of speaking in elevators, and I'm curious how you're going to answer this, you have to be able to modulate your voice. And a lot of people don't think about that when they're in elevators, and it's incredibly, I think it's one of the worst qualities in a human being, quite frankly. If they don't understand how to modulate their voice. I was on a train actually yesterday, and
There's
I'm a big modulator.
racists, there's rapists, and then there's people who cannot modulate their voice in the elevator. Those are the three worst traits.
You don't agree with this? You don't
No,
agree
yeah,
that?
I do, but what do you think this woman was up to?
Well, I'm asking you, was she modulating her voice?
Yeah, she talked very normally in normal tone.
But normal tone that one would speak in an elevator. So with
Yes.
a hush, a reverence for the space.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
If normal is 5, she was at a 3.5, which is where you should be with the elevator.
That's good.
Did you speak to her? Did you ever speak to her outside of the elevator? Did her voice? Did it change?
No. We heard her speak outside of the elevator to the guy who was with the water before we got on the elevator, and it was very similar to her elevator voice. I don't see
Okay.
where this is going, but I'm giving you the information you need to make your assessment.
No. It's going with the fact that if she modulated her voice from inside outside, that does show some awareness, right? Because clearly having a conversation with someone in an elevator,
Okay.
either, she and your topics you were discussing, they're not very interesting or compelling or quite frankly make you or your wife comfortable at all. Or that gentleman who's drinking Molly water, whatever.
What was she up to? What was her MO?
Do you think she was a fan of the podcast?
That's possible. That's very possible.
Is that one of your theories?
She's
No,
clearly,
that's
to me, she's clearly on the spectrum.
Wow. Okay. So look, here are the other two theories. One, I think she was trying to have happy fun time with somebody. And I think initially she was trying to get with my wife and I. That's what I think is my theory.
Really?
Yes.
So you think that she didn't live in the
100%.
building? She didn't live in the building.
I think my multiverse.
Yeah, your
really
multiverse idea is a little bit of
I
a
thought
stretch.
that
So-
a little bit too, but you didn't describe the woman in detail.
Well, you don't have to. She was she was normally dressed in like during the day, but then she changed to something nicer for nighttime. But
What
it wasn't
did you call
anything.
it?
Was
You
was
say
she
fun
wearing
time?
heels?
I think she wanted to get with us.
Yeah, but what did you call it? Fun time?
Happy fun time? I don't know.
Happy fun time?
I'm trying to clean it up for your pastor. But look, isn't it weird? She rode the elevator down to the first time, rode it to the lobby, didn't get off when we got on. She clearly took the elevator to the lobby. We got on. She was already on the elevator. Then rode it all the way up to 11 with us, asked us what we were doing. And I thought for sure that's what was happening. And then when I said that to my wife after the first occurrence, I go, I think that woman wanted to get with us.
Stop.
I swear to
What in
God.
the world.
I'll tell you why, Dave, and that it adds up because then the next time we saw her later that night, it was clear she was trying to get with that guy. And then when he didn't invite her off the elevator at his floor, she then turned her sights on us again at 11, and we didn't invite her, obviously, and didn't get off at 11.
So
and didn't get off when she pushed 4.
Do you think this was a transaction possibly for her then too? Is this
Possible? So that was my theory.
But
Then
she
the
was
third theory,
dressed.
she was not
How
dressed
was-
like a
I wanna
hooker.
go into more-
That's what you're going
Was
with?
she dressed as someone that would go on a date with, like, on to a restaurant? Was it that kind of outfit? Her nighttime outfit?
She was
wearing
dressed.
heels?
I don't
Was she
remember
wearing
which is.
makeup?
Look, I don't remember because I was trying not to make eye contact with her the second time. I did notice she was wearing a dress,
Hey,
but
you
it
know
was
what,
not
David?
anything
Wait,
like
if I could-
provocative or
we
anything
put a
like
pause on this. Wait, David, can I talk to you directly for a second?
Sure,
This
Josh,
is one of my problems with
cover
that.
your
I'll earmuffs. Go ahead.
So I mentioned to you the whole thing about me not having internet connection and be driving while lost. While I was driving, this could be a really interesting topic, possibly, when we do our next episode or whatever. And I was literally just looking at the environment everything because I wanted to be able to soak in some more of it. So I started talking about it. I knew it could be something that could be interesting to talk about. I chose not to, or at least not yet. And Josh, when this was happening, he had to have known this could be a topic, and yet he didn't engage the subject further.
I'll tell you
He
why.
just he
You're
because you're a
100%
coward.
right. No. You're
But
100%
what you
right.
okay?
But you're 100% right because the first time it happened, I went, boy, this is something I have to tell Dave and Omar.
See, okay.
Yeah.
But then when it happened the second time, I so badly did not want to make eye contact with her because I did not want to engage in conversation, and that was the issue.
You are not
That's
thinking of us.
But that's
Yeah.
my issue. In the
That's
interest
my
of
problem.
the
You're
show,
right. You're 100% right. I should have. I should have.
So
I should have
let's-
asked her. Well, this is exactly what someone said to me also when I told them the story. They said you should have asked her when the door opened at 4, like, aren't you getting out, or isn't this your floor? And no one said. My wife and I didn't say anything, and neither did that other dude that was in the elevator. But I wish I had because I want to know what she would have said because she pushed 4 and didn't get out at 4. And so the
David,
other theory.
Yeah.
Can I tell you the other theory, or do you want to say something about that?
No, go on.
Okay. The other theory from someone in my family was that she was potentially looking to rob us. That she was good. That she was staking it out and trying to size us up, and then figuring if she could get an invite to the room, that she would then use that to then rob us. Yeah, not rob us in like, oh, I'm going to sneak around. No, like, hey, I'm going to make small talk and hopefully I'll invite you to the room and then I'll rob you.
What robber?
I don't know.
Actually, would do, but this would be their plan. This is preposterous.
Well, look, you saw the Seinfeld episode when that woman flirted with George, got her to come to her hotel room, tied him up, and then robbed him. And then
that's
left.
Different. That's different than meeting someone in an elevator for the first time.
Not really. I think she was looking for an invite to the room from that dude and then from us. And didn't get it, and then rode the elevator right back down and tried it again with somebody else.
David, so this is my thing, right? You guys understand that, like, there's a quote, like, there's nothing more important to humans than connection, right? I treat every stranger like an old friend. That's the Dalai Lama quote, actually. But Josh, if you could talk to this person, it could have. Next time, will you promise metaphorically to do that for us?
Yes, 100%, and I dropped the ball, and I know that.
David, am I speaking out of turn here, or
you're not? You are 100% correct.
I think my natural inclination is to engage someone in conversation just a little bit more than like stop talking to me. Just because I would feel I'm in a hotel, it's safe. I'm with my wife, like we're all fine. If it was,
did you feel unsafe?
No, I didn't feel unsafe in the least. I just was so perplexed. Like, this woman is so strange. And I just, at the second time, I did not want to even make eye contact with her because I did not want to engage. She didn't smell like anything. I didn't notice any odor whatsoever.
No, there was no perfume.
No, I didn't notice any. There was nothing I could say. Like,
his nose was wedged at the corner of the.
I would like to actually maybe talk to your wife about this. That'd be interesting to hear her perspective.
Yeah.
Have you seen that movie before, Force Majeure?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
It's a famous movie, and
not that famous.
High level concept. Husband, wife, 2 kids go skiing. They're having a brunch at the chalet, and during brunch in the middle of a beautiful day, they're doing those explosions to, like, they do in mountains during the ski season.
Oh yeah, they just redid this movie.
Yeah, they did with Will Ferrell and Julia
Louis-Dreyfus. Yep.
And all of a sudden, one of the explosions happens, and what looks like an avalanche is coming towards the chalet, and everyone's expecting it to die down. It does not die down. It picks up more and more effort. So people start panicking. They run off the roof inside, and the husband runs up, leaves the kids and the wife, knocks them out of the way, and runs inside. And so the movie is the rest of the consequences of that event. So did your wife feel that way about you? I wonder how you handled.
No, what are you talking about? Your analogies are so crazy.
Are you saying that she's disappointed that Josh didn't take the opportunity?
No, because I did bring it. I told you I brought it as soon as we got into the hotel room. The first time I said, I think that woman wanted to get with us.
But you are the king of interaction. I mean,
I am.
That is your superpower. I've seen you talk to some of the most.
That's true.
Famous people who you talk. I mean, and you engage them, and yet this woman you left behind.
I don't want to engage in crazy, and this woman was crazy. And look, I try not to engage when I don't think the results are going to be beneficial or at least entertaining. And so I rarely talk to, we talked about this in a very early episode. I rarely talk to Uber drivers and things of that, people that I just don't want to engage in small talk with. This was clearly, this woman was something off. I mean, I don't know where I could have taken the conversation when she's talking to us about our athletic wear on our feet.
You
And,
could. You had a lot of places.
I know I could, but I didn't want
like,
to.
That's
that
like
was
in your
that was a
wheelhouse.
lose-lose. Plus, I'm in an elevator. You're in a confined space where there is no exit.
How big was the elevator?
It was a good size elevator. It's a hotel elevator, so use your imagination.
Are you happy with your Skechers purchase?
Yeah, I do love them. I do love them.
your
They're very.
Skechers
If I have to drive a long distance or walk a lot, and I knew I was going to walk a lot, then I'll wear Skechers.
Is a man wearing a Skechers the equivalent of like, wearing
No,
sweatpants?
whatever you're about to say is
like
no.
like just giving up.
You got to try these on.
No, they have these pillow. They feel like you're walking on pillows. It's wonderful. It's so comfortable. Again, I'm all about comfort.
I think the On Cloud shoes are better. You can give those a try.
All right, Beyond Cloud. I'll give those a try. Is
On
that the
Cloud.
basics here? On Cloud. On Cloud. Okay.
Well,
Got it.
guys, in all fairness, we are talking to both as potential sponsors, so let's hold off.
All right, fair enough. Yep, don't want to disparage any potential sponsors.
But
All
very
right, well,
weird, very weird occurrence. That's all. I just, so it's interesting the theories that you have, but yeah, I still think she was trying to get with us physically. But anyway,
could you see her as your wife in another life? Is that
no?
There is no connection.
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
Well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, Omar, you want to bring us home here?
Yeah. So this is I think this is kind of interesting, hopefully. So I tend to be like one of the things I enjoy more than anything else is being sanctimonious. It's like my number one thing I enjoy. I love being critical of people and things and people across every instance. And one of the governors of that is that if I'm going to be sanctimonious, I have to also be consistent myself, right? So I'm beyond reproach. Is that the word? Is that the
Sure. Yep.
Sort of like Catholic priests. So anyway,
That's
sorry.
I'm not Catholic, but go ahead. That's all right. I know what you're getting at.
Sorry.
Try to avoid the dog shit on the ground when you're walking.
All right. So anyway, I had this night in London, and with a dear friend, we went to go see Coldplay. We left early, but it was still a great time. We go back to my favorite place in the world, Chiltern Firehouse. We're having an awesome time there. And she says, "Hey, do you mind if my friends come? They're having dinner next door." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. We can, they can join us. Of course they can join us." And so they join us at like 10 o'clock or something like that. And Chiltern is like really happening, and I'm in a really good, whatever frame of mind. It's a couple, very nice couple. And the guy starts, engaging me. And I don't know what happened, but I don't know whether it was his, the way he spoke in terms of his how he sounded in my ears, or the questions he was asking me, but I completely turned off, and it got to the point where I wanted to get the fuck out of there, and not engage. And I kept on saying to myself, these are my friends, be a good person, like engage him, be kind, whatever else. And they ordered some whiskeys, and then he kept on asking me questions, and for whatever reason, I was completely off. So I left the table, and
just abruptly.
Well, yeah, I was kind of like hovering, and then I left the table, and I paid for the check, just so I could like whatever, and I hung out like with the hotel staff in the lobby, but they're my friends who are in the lobby.
Did they see you do that?
Yeah, sort of. We'll pay for the check.
Oh boy. No. They saw you get up. What did you say when you get up? I'm retiring for the night.
I didn't know. The overarching part of the story, the details are relevant, I suspect. I think, but I think my behavior was so bad because he was a nice guy. He is a nice guy.
But he turned you off.
Yeah, for whatever reason, and like his wife.
But you can't put your finger on it.
I can't, and it's like.
Was it a boring topic of conversation?
Like one friend said, because I talked to plenty of people who are very like, sort of like, different sort of ways in terms of how they interact, and I'm okay with any of it. My one friend said, because you were in a post concert, like chilling, this cool scene, and maybe this couple comes, and the energy was sort of off, and it sort of made me act that way. But I would think, the whole meditation stuff I do, and me being older, I've been able to, I internalized it and sort of I couldn't do it. So
Were you tired?
no, I was ready to like go out till like 3 a.m. or something. I was having a great time.
That doesn't make sense.
I wasn't like super drunk at all. I'm like,
I
I
can
always
see
am.
that though. If you're in a post-concert high and this person's sort of a mellow, not super interesting,
They
nice,
just kept on
but
asking me questions about me, like what I do for a living, blah blah, and I'm like, no,
But
no,
that's
no,
your favorite topic. You.
no, but nah, is it only with you
Mm.
guys?
hmm, that's interesting. Yeah, I've had times where
Have you
someone
had
just
situations where each of you have been disappointed in your behavior?
yeah. So the story I
Sure.
had when we were first married, there was a
I'm
couple.
sure, I'm sure we all have, but I mean like recently. Was there, like, we're older now? We should be like able to like think in the bigger picture.
Well, my story is older, but it's just similar. My wife invited a couple over, and the couple were so dry and boring, nice people. But as soon as they left, I just had the feeling like I never want to do that again. And they were like, well, they invited us over to their place. And I said, tell them no,
No.
please. And
No.
it was so awkward. So they keep asking. We invited them. They want to reciprocate. I was like, I don't want to. I couldn't figure out why, but it was
This
just
is my dad. My dad says this. We never went to anyone's houses when I was growing up. My dad's like, I don't want to go to their home. Then they come to our home, and then we go to someone else's, and all you're doing is feeding each other. I don't want this. So my dad, we didn't go to any dinner parties because of that reason.
That's funny.
that's probably
That's
why
funny.
you like doing them so much.
Reciprocation risk is a real risk.
Yeah,
It is a
yeah.
risk, and Dave, it's smart to cut it off because it's a slippery slope. If you go down that road, then all of a sudden you're
Vacation?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, yeah,
locked
right.
in, and it's
Got
no
it.
good.
I agree.
So smart to cut it off. Listen,
Mm.
you have not pinpointed why. Usually, when this happens, I can pinpoint why. Either they're boring, or they're rude, or they're they come off
No.
arrogant. You don't want any part of them, or there's something that they're
No, it wasn't. It was none of
and
those
there's
things.
nothing. You can't
He was
say
very
anything.
pleasant. Maybe
Doesn't make any
there's
sense.
well, there's someone else I know who I think you guys might know, who has a very, very, his voice, this triggers something, like where it makes it like fight or flight. I think there's
the
certain
sound
like
of the voice.
sound of a voice. I think that don't you think that exists in the human brain with some people, like a certain sort of this like triggers them and makes them highly uncomfortable. Maybe it was that. I don't know. But
People can be grating just because of how they
no, I
speak,
wasn't. Yeah.
but that's not
Yeah.
it. You're saying
So
saying
I
they're
think,
pleasant.
yeah, and so I actually am thinking that I'm gonna, I'm gonna send some kind of apology flowers or something.
Oh, you gotta be
Because it's just
careful
not
of that.
because
What are you gonna
Apology
say?
flowers?
Yeah,
What
what's
do
it
you-
for?
I'm gonna tell you why. Because ultimately, my behavior is a reflection of my friend, on her. Because she brought them to us, and me being inconsiderate or whatever, rude, is makes her look bad to her friends, and that's
No,
not fair.
but maybe they don't realize what you did.
Oh
and
no,
vice
no,
versa.
they did realize.
Oh, they did. Okay.
The one like white lining or whatever the hell it is, silver lining thing, is that the check was incredibly high because they ordered some really expensive whiskey. So at least I paid for that, and I didn't
Yeah.
even care. So they're like, oh, like, what's up with this guy? He rudely leaves and was so whatever. Oh, but he paid for the check. Like, wait, what? So at least I have that going for me. But I think flowers and there's some real it can't hurt.
Did your friend say anything to you after the fact?
Yeah, I talked to her about it, and she's like,
What
what
did she
happened?
say?
I think that she looks at me differently, which is sad.
I don't understand why you did that. I
I
I
have a
don't
theory.
get.
that's why I'm bringing it up.
I have a theory. I mean, Omar, I think you suffer a little bit from FOMO. Would you say that's true?
Yeah, I think he does, but that's not.
Well,
But what
hold
was
on.
he missing out on? He
Wait,
wasn't missing out on it.
so hear me out. He's the last person that should, because everything he's done this last week is like in the middle of. I mean, you're going to Italy and London and weddings and pools, and you should hear my week. If anyone should have FOMO, you should hear
Why,
my
I'm
week.
getting propositioned on elevators.
That's- But I just feel like or I'll just make it general. Someone who has FOMO, if you're locked in a situation, say you're at a dinner table and you're at the wrong end of the table, like you are in a conversation,
Yeah,
you're in a
I
group
think that's
that you
part
wanna
of
be in,
it.
you just like,
You know
I
what
want to
it
be
was?
someplace else.
my friend like Lindsay and I were
Mm.
having such a great time. And then what happened is that I did something and I came back and then all of a sudden she's on the sofa talking to her girlfriend and I'm separated from her talking to a strange this guy and like I was enjoying my time with Lindsay so much. That was probably part of it too.
Oh, I
The
thought you were
energy was
with her. I thought she was at the table with you.
no, Lindsay and I were together the whole night.
Right,
And then
but I thought
her friends came to
right.
meet us an hour into our night at the table
Yeah.
at
So
Children.
what?
So
But
I'm
you said it
saying
was okay.
I did, but I didn't know it would just like that the energy be completely separated, and I didn't have like I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
why I did it. I'm just pontificating right now.
You
So
you clearly
anyway,
were annoyed in some way or bothered by them. Whether you can pinpoint it or not,
you
you
know what?
obviously were.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what?
It could have been you though, and not necessarily them. It could have been just your.
Think about it. She's really, because he came from like dinner and maybe that was it. But I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what he was wearing.
Don't
I mean,
send flowers. You're going to make it worse.
really.
I think it'd be better
Yes.
to.
Maybe
Can you
I
get
Leave it-
together with them again?
I can send some Irish whiskey, whatever they
No.
ordered. I'll
No.
order him a bottle.
No. Leave it alone.
That's a.
Really?
That's a. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I it could work.
Don't do
could-
anything.
It's
Yeah.
not. It's
It
not.
might be
it's not about-
embarrassing for them.
It's not about working or not. It's more about just showing to have some appreciation of to Lindsay, and like I think that it would make her more.
Listen,
I don't think she's that. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it too
Do
much.
you
If you
think
wanna-
that?
Interesting.
Do you think that they felt that they were too boring for you? Like if I felt that
They
this person
felt
walked
they did.
away,
They're like, what happened? Like, what happened? What did you?
how do you
say
know
to
they
him?
felt
Was I
that
mean?
way? Did she tell you
Because
that?
she told me. Yeah.
I don't know. I've had some situations where I just was like, I'm at the
But
wrong end of the
recently,
table.
like in the
Yeah,
last
that's true. I've
week,
had
you
that
say-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
let me ask you something,
That's
Omar.
right.
Would you want to have drinks with them again?
You
And
mean
do they listen to the podcast?
Would you want to have drinks with them again? It's a pretty straightforward question.
Yeah, I would just because
You would?
Yeah, I would.
This makes
because,
no
again,
sense.
because my behavior is a reflection on Lindsay, and that's
He
not-
would do it to correct his former activity.
Or no,
Okay,
maybe
why don't
not
you just
correct,
do that?
but
Assuming
why
it
don't
was
you just
brand new,
say-
you'd never met them before, but you knew what they were like. Would you want to have drinks with them again? You don't have anything.
I
to
don't
correct.
I don't know what they're like. That's like so like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This
I
is
don't-
so bizarre.
I don't know what
Oh.
they're like. I'm sure they're great. If they're friends with Lindsay, they're probably amazing. I'm
No,
sure they're
not
amazing.
necessarily. Not
Okay.
necessarily.
Well, Josh, let me ask you this. Do you have like one of my best qualities is that I have amazing friends. It's not me. It's the
I
friends.
agree with I
you know what I
agree
mean?
with that.
So my point is,
That's one of my worst qualities.
my incremental friend, you're going to be open to talking to if they're my friend.
Yes, but sometimes someone's friend, a friend of a friend, is not necessarily works out to also be a friend. It's just the way it is.
But you can still be pleasant. I'm an adult. I'm an
Certainly,
evolved adult,
yeah.
supposedly.
Listen. Don't send them anything. If you want to send anyone anything, you send it to Lindsay, and just be like, listen, I don't,
Okay.
I don't know because that's the friendship you clearly care the most about. You don't want to have
Yeah.
drinks with these people again. You just don't. It was very obvious. Something turned you
Well,
off.
No, but it was the environment. I'm sure that we had a dinner
The
party.
environment. You love that environment. That's
No,
your
but just the whole like vibe. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I like the Lindsay thing though.
Send
That
it to
makes
Lindsay
sense.
because it's her friends, and you felt bad that you just abruptly got up. But you
Yeah.
need to. This is this is
Is this a Dr. Phil episode?
Yeah, it really is because society says you need to have some sort of politeness.
I know. That's
If
what I'm
you're
talking
going to,
about.
if you have to
Jesus.
extricate yourself from the situation, there's a way to do it politely, and
I-
you're not offending anyone. To literally just get up and walk
Yes.
away.
Yes,
is-
there's something.
is
There's
just
something off
weird.
in my brain. I
Yes,
just that's my.
I'm moving you to bottom 50%.
Yeah.
Both are.
Well deserved.
All right. Well, keep us informed on what you decide to do. If we might want to get this couple on the podcast.
Oh,
then
and
we
by
can-
the way, on that note, oh my God, you want to bring them on the podcast? Oh my God,
and I want this
Jesus.
woman to be on the
I
podcast
would be.
from the
I
element.
don't turn.
That's
I'm
impossible. I
I'm
don't know.
brown. I'm a dark, very, glowing brown color, like a Twix bar, But if you
Yeah.
got this couple on, I would turn into a tomato. I would be so embarrassed. I would turn it into a.
It's
By the
for the
way,
podcast.
This is crazy, but I think you've nailed your complexion perfectly. I think you are a Twix bar.
Really?
I think the color of a Twix bar is spot on, and it's a good thing.
When you smile, it's like you've broken the Twix bar in half, and you're looking at it crossways. I think he has a Twix because
Think he has a cookie crunch smile.
cookie face.
Yeah.
Oh boy! All right, well
Yeah.
we're deviating
Amazing.
into weird places now, but good episode, guys. Really interesting.
Wait a second. This is
Oh yeah. Oh,
He's not going to let it end.
That's-
The
So-
twist. Go ahead.
So David, we'll keep this really fast. David, just we were talking earlier, all of us, and David, maybe give a little factual thing about is there a particular country where our podcast is most popular?
Oh yes, I mean I don't know if we mentioned this, but we got a random email from I think these podcast services. They probably want to sell us something.
They do.
But they told us, hey, good news, your podcast is trending on Apple Podcasts. You are now the 131st ranked podcast under comedy in Norway.
In Norway.
Yeah.
Which I'm very happy with because I have a good friend in Norway.
He's spreading the word.
Other podcast has been had a number of Norwegian listeners, so I feel like I have really good success. I should move to this country. I think people would like me much more in Norway than they would in the United States.
You are the Hasselhoff of Norway.
I might be. Well, you never know. Maybe we're all the Hasselhoff of. We just got to find
That's
our
possible.
So along those lines, I think every so often we want to maybe read something that's going on in Norway. So if I could just read you a high level thing.
Yeah,
Very
please.
short.
I'd
very
love to hear what's
short.
going
Oh,
on in
you're
Norway.
ready? Oh, good deal. Okay.
News survey. This is in the Norway Today. News survey.
Very popular newspaper.
4 out of 10 students in Norway have few or no friends at their place of study. 41%. We cannot live with over 40% of students feeling this way. We must work from all sides with measures that can contribute to belonging and support. Everyone needs someone to discuss assignments and eat lunches with, and this is our shared responsibility, said Kari Juicy Lenham, the head of the students' health
Don't even try.
survey.
That's interesting.
60,000 yeah. So this is something that apparently isn't. That's kind of surprising, right?
It actually is not. I saw a 60 Minutes piece on Norway. This was a long time ago, and it's about how the social interaction of Norwegians is very difficult.
What?
And yeah, that's actually there was a thing, and they have these social clubs that they're trying to break through, but people are very much apparently it's a cultural thing to kind of keep to yourself, and there's a level of stoicism across most people's demeanor. Is that not correct?
Because
from
what I've seen is that Norway is regularly on the top happiest countries in the world.
Yes, it is. That's correct.
And actually,
That's why they're so happy. They don't talk.
Maybe that's why. The quality of life there is phenomenal.
Well, they get up from dinner parties and walk away, and they're more than happy to do it.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
We just looked up the happiest country in the world is Finland, and Norway I think was 8th. So we just looked this up for random reasons, but and my one friend Dr. Klaus who lives in Norway, he is the most outgoing person. He is doing
There's exceptions to every rule,
but there's exceptions to every rule. So I
Yes.
certainly can't generalize it based off one person.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised by that, but maybe that's what podcasts are for, is you spend time by themselves and interact with the world through something.
you saw the leader of Finland, how she just got in trouble.
No,
That's a big scandal. She was partying. She's very young. The leader of Finland's only like, I don't know, 28, 32, something like that, somewhere around there. And she was posted a video of her, partying with her friends and dancing. It was pretty innocent. She was just dancing, but it was a whole big deal.
Because she's a woman. That's what it is.
Yeah, probably right. Probably right. But that's
probably
yeah.
about it.
But there you go. That's the happiest country on earth, where the big scandal is your leaders having a good time with their friends.
Yeah. Well, and they're joining NATO. That's also a big.
It's exciting.
Potentially, yep.
So we are very happy. We thank the Norwegian listeners.
Thank you, Norway.
It is. I'm not making this up either. My favorite song of all time is Norwegian Wood. So
Great song,
it's
Beatles.
I'm very
By the Beatles.
we are thrilled to hear that 131. I'll take it. We'll take
And
it.
I've eaten in Norway at Epcot Center. So I don't know what
Wow.
that's worth.
Well, you're quite an
Yeah,
international
that might be
traveler.
worth something. Yeah.
Yeah, and we will be your friend. If you're in that 40% and need friends, we will be your friends.
100%.
So feel free to email us, and we're available for friendships, except for maybe Omar. You better be interesting to be Omar's friend.
Yeah, he might leave the conversation abruptly.
FTS at inc.media.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez.
Email us at friends@fts.media. Thank you, Omar.
That's it.
If
Good
you're
luck.
from Norway and listening, just email us, just even a hi. You don't have to say anything, just so we know you're out there and alive.
or the Norwegian equivalent. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
All right. Oh, now you've turned everybody off. Nice.
I just
one.
killed
You
it. I
should've
killed the
turned
whole
off.
thing.
All right, guys, we better wrap this up. Hey, thanks for listening, everyone. We're always happy to hear from you and know that you're out there. We see numbers that someone's listening, so we're pretty happy about that. Until next time, have a great week, everyone.